So we're running short on time here, but I want to talk a little bit about partnership strategy. You know, biosimilar development is frequently a joint venture between one or more corporate entities. How does this add to the, what are we seeing out there? First of all, Julie, I'm interested in your perspective, perhaps among Biosimilar Forum members. How does that sort of partnership angle add to the complexity of navigating your way to market or help it, right? Like create some synergy and power in numbers?
Yeah, I would say it is the latter. It's helpful. Look, there's companies that know how to develop, like Celltrion or Samsung, or all of our members know how to develop and get a biosimilar approved. But there's some companies that also don't want to do the commercialization piece, and so I think it's a synergy and it's a partnership, and it is focused on doing the right thing, is getting a safe and effective biosimilar to the market and available to patients. So it's not unusual for anyone in the industry, not just the biosimilars industry, but to part in the generics industry and in the innovator industry, to have partnerships of people who are experts in different areas in order to facilitate the innovation and getting products out to the market. I want to give you another perspective about the cost and what could be done to reduce the cost and time for biosimilars development. One of the most costly pieces of developing a biosimilar is the need to purchase the sample lots of the reference product in order to do your analytical testing. And one of the key things is that as developers, our members have been asked to purchase US reference, but in order to do them, and there was a question in the chat, to do the analytics across the number of lots of the reference product you need to do, it's difficult to buy the reference product in the US. It's also much more costly to buy it. So we buy reference product in Europe as well. And currently the FDA requires, which is not in the law, and is not following their guidance correctly, they require that we do three-way PKs. This is the pharmacokinetic study to prove that the same brand product in Europe, but put out and sold in Europe by the same brand innovator biologic company, that product is the same as the one in the US. And they require us to do these three-way PK studies. That is so costly, so time consuming, and not scientifically required. It doesn't show us anything scientifically. It's also the FDA putting out a requirement that is not in the law. So we need to have FDA rewrite their policy, rewrite their guidance, and stick to doing this on a case-by-case basis, but not routinely. So that is a huge cost saver for time and cost of development of biosimilars. The other one, and I just forgot, so I'm going to stop talking for a minute, and I'll come back to you on what else we can do to improve getting the cost of biosimilars. So,
yeah, I appreciate that, Julie. Yeah, no, that's one of the things we're gonna. So here's what we're gonna do, because like I said, we're running short on time. We're gonna hit the last polling question. Then I want to get to the last polling question is relative to something I want to spend some time talking with Hetal about. And it speaks to what you were just talking about, Julie. Like, I believe that where there's success, right, where there's demonstrated success, there's inspiration and motivation for follow-on success, for more companies to get into the game, and begin to tackle that shortfall, that dichotomy between opportunity and pursuit of opportunity. And when I spent some time with Hetal a couple weeks ago talking about this panel, we spent quite a bit of time talking about the things that stand in the way of success post approval, right, post commercialization, and the the incumbency on folks like Celltrion and specifically Hetal, not too much pressure or anything, to lead the charge, to go in and educate, right? To educate, addressing concerns about switching from original drugs and providing scientific evidence of biosimilar effectiveness and presenting, clinical data to doctors and pharmacists and payers. So, one, I want to spend some time talking about that, and two, before we do, let's get to the polling question, because this kind of speaks to that. What do you consider? This question is for the audience. What do you consider the greatest threat to your biosimilar strategy, wherever you are on the timeline, whether you're knocking on the door of approval or just getting started? Make some selections here, so we'll see kind of where they line up with this direction I'm taking the conversation now with Hetal. What has been successful in your role, Hetal, at Celltrion and beyond, in terms of your efforts to educate the market, to educate healthcare professionals about biosimilars?
The question is, what has been successful for me here at Celltrion to educate and bring awareness?
Yeah, and even in prior experience, you tell me, like, what's working, because this is it's not an easy task. We discussed this a couple weeks ago. It's like it's a tall order. So what's working for you?
I believe everybody, every stakeholder, be it a manufacturer, be it a provider, be it a patient, be it pharmacy, whoever it is, they do recognize the need for competition. Where the challenge initially was that many providers or even patients didn't even understand what a biosimilar was. I'll give you one successful story that I had from my past experience is when the first biosimilars in the field of the eyes or the retina was approved, they were the first to the market. Nobody knew in the field of the ophthalmology or retina what a biosimilar is or how it's even spelled, right? But here, the manufacturers and the FDA and other stakeholders had a great opportunity to go and educate them, create awareness on the biosimilars process, and show how biosimilars are approved in a stepwise manner. And we take the totality of evidence, not just from one clinical trials or two clinical trials. We take evidence from the analytical studies, from the pharmacokinetic studies, from the immunogenicity studies. And then if there is still some residual doubt, then we'll look at the clinical studies and generate evidence. When we present that in that manner to the providers and they understand the biosimilars, how it is, and now we see that in the field of retina or in the field of ophthalmology, they have adopted biosimilars at a very rapid rate, and they welcome the utilization of biosimilars because that is something, the world of retina is a buy and bill market where, it does not go through does not go to the pharmacy benefit, so they purchase their own drug. So to understand the biosimilar is equally efficacious, is equally safe as a reference biologic, but it comes at a fraction of the cost. It has been a huge win to create that awareness and education. So, and I hope that I continue to do that in the future with all of these new different therapeutic areas that we are bringing these biosimilars into. As I mentioned, respiratory space, we have the denosumab biosimilars coming in bone health and musculoskeletal space. So it's a huge opportunity to instill the confidence in the FDA approval process.
Yeah, thank you, Hetal. Let's take a look at those polling question results, Miles. Greatest threat. With the regulatory gauntlet, looks like the leading selection there, navigating IP and patent protection and competition. Hetal just got done saying that competition's good. We can all agree to that on some level. But Julie, as we wrap the hour up here, I told you guys it was going to be the fastest hour you spent all week, and we didn't even begin to scratch the surface of our agenda.
The happiest hour too. So
I'm glad to hear that. I'm super glad to hear that. Yeah. Well, out of deference and respect to you guys and our audience and everyone's time, I'm going to ask you, Julie, to give us the last word and maybe reflect a little bit on that poll result. The greatest threat to your biosimilar strategy. You don't, in your role, you want to address threats, right? So what are your thoughts, Julie?
I think, from an industry perspective, and as I mentioned in experience perspective, it's time to evolve the FDA biosimilars program and give our reviewers and the OTBB more autonomy and be able to do that to reflect today's current standards. We are working as an industry to do that. We do have to also work with our new administration. They have a goal to improve efficiencies. There's no better way if you improve efficiencies at the FDA and bring biosimilars that are lower cost to the market faster. It's a win-win for everyone. If you're frustrated as a developer, I'm going to put a plug out there. You need to be in a trade association that is doing this work as for the industry. So I'm going to put a plug out there for you to contact me because it's important that the entire industry is part of these conversations, and it's important that you're represented at the table. We have a lot to do, but I'm excited. The forum is excited. We believe if we can reach our goals and get the things done and the changes in policy that we're doing, that we're setting the stage for the next 20 years of the biosimilars industry and development in the U.S. So that's where we're headed.
Julie, I thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing, by the way. And your plugs are always welcome here. Of course, I would encourage our audience to check out Biosimilars Forum for sure. Important work you guys are doing. Hetal and Kaushal, thank you both for joining us. I apologize for running out of time. We'll have to do a part two. I mean, we'll just have to have you back for a part two. Yeah, we'll do it again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all the time we've got for today. Another virtual round of applause for our panelists, Julie, Hetal, and Kaushal. You guys were all fantastic. Bioprocess Online Live is going to be back on March 25th with an all-star lineup of antibody drug conjugate developers at the ready to discuss ADC process development advances and even a bit about how AI is helping the cause. Keep it dialed at bioprocessonline.com and watch our newsletters for more on that. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Use this link to access the recording of today's call on demand and enjoy the rest of your week.